Hello everyone, Namaste. I'm Ricky Kej, I'm a musician, I'm an environmentalist, two pillars that have pretty much dictated my whole life and all of my life decisions. And for the last few years, the only music that I have made is about the environment, sustainability and positive social impact around those areas. Now, ever since I remember, I've always been a musician. My ears have always been more important than my eyes. While most of my classmates in school, while I was a very small child, were very fascinated by television and by video games and by cartoons, I was obsessed with my music system. I would pull apart songs, trying to figure out who the instrumentalists are, who played those instruments. I would try to understand different cultures because my father had this huge world music collection, so I would try to understand different cultures and people through music. And a lot of my general knowledge came through music. And of course, it was through music that I fell in love with our natural world. I found a deep connection between music and nature. I also realized that I loved hanging around with animals more than I loved, with humans. While my parents constantly ordered me to run away from these seemingly dangerous and creepy crawly animals, I was very drawn towards them. I would look into the eyes of these animals. I would see personality in every single animal, including the insects and reptiles. And at that young age, I have to confess, I was definitely called a very weird child. I would often wonder why everyone's first reaction would be just to kill these animals, just to step on them and kill them. And if they were supposed to be killed, then why do they exist? Of course, now I completely understand that every species is absolutely responsible for maintaining the delicate balance of nature that keeps us alive, and every single animal, no matter how seemingly dangerous or insignificant, is a really important part of our planet. Anyway, many years later, I became a professional musician. My dream came true. Now, how I managed to do that in a family of doctors and with Indian parents is a story within itself. But nevertheless, I started off my musical career making music for TV and for radio commercials for multinational brands. In a very short span, I saw quite tremendous success, and I'm really grateful for that. I was making music for everyone from Google to Microsoft, from Toyota to Suzuki, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Pizza Hut, HDFC, Airtel, Vodafone, basically every single brand and their competitor everywhere in the world. And in 13 years, my music was placed in more than 3,500 commercials. Now, after doing all of that, it very suddenly dawned on me that these big brands are spending thousands of dollars on me to create a piece of music for them, to sell a product, because they're always trying to sell something, so they're doing that through music, and then millions to actually air that music on television and radio. So they have understood the power of music. Now, they have understood that music is a very powerful language, not just for communicating a message, which in their case is a message of sales, but also for retaining that message deep into the consciousness of a listener. Now, the songs that we learned during our childhood are the songs that we remember forever. And the morals that we learn through those songs stick with us throughout our lives. And if there were jingles and it was a product that they were advertising, those products stick with our minds forever. And these big brands understood this and were ready to base their massive multi-million-dollar campaigns on music to drive a message of sales. That is when I decided that I needed to use my gift of music to make this world a better place in my own small way and within my own small capacity, by communicating a positive message through music. And I decided that all my music needed to be an extension of my personality and beliefs, and every piece of music needed to be a reflection of what I strongly believed in. And I strongly believe in conservation and in sustainability, so that's what my music is mainly about. Now, in doing this, I met a South African flute player, Wouter Kellerman, and I was a huge fan of his music. He was, of course, a fan of my music. I'm very grateful for that. And we wanted to work with each other, and we met in Los Angeles. Now, while discussing ideas for a potential collaboration, I mentioned to him that I just finished composing a piece of music based on the ideals of peace by Mahatma Gandhi, my father of the nation. And it was a huge coincidence that Wouter was just working on a piece of music inspired by his father of the nation, that is Nelson Mandela. Now, through our discussions, we obviously realized that there's a whole lot of cross-pollination over here, because as we know, Mahatma Gandhi spent his formative years in South Africa, so he had a lot of South Africanness in him. Nelson Mandela, on the other hand, was heavily inspired by the non-violence movement by Mahatma Gandhi, so he had a lot of Indianness in him. So I sent Wouter my Indian music to add some South Africanness to it, and he sent me South African music and he told me add some Indianness to it. So that's what we did. We spent 2.5 years, we became the best of friends, we traveled around the world. And then we had an album ready at the end of 2.5 years, that is Winds of Samsara. And that album was hugely successful. We went on to the top of the USA Billboard charts. We stayed there for a very long time. We were #1 on the world radio charts. And eventually we won the holy grail of music awards, that is the Grammy Award. Now, I then went ahead and I made my magnum opus, my dream album, an album called Shanti Samsara, my epic album for environmental consciousness. This time, the album featured over 500 musicians from over 40 countries, including, of course, India, USA, Australia, Turkey, Algeria, Azerbaijan, Senegal, Sweden, Korea, China, Vietnam, Tibet. You know, all of them coming together to celebrate the natural world and raise awareness on climate change. So basically, wherever I could find a musician in any corner of the globe who felt as strongly as I did about the environment, I just reached out to them. The album was launched at the United Nations Climate Change Conference, the COP21 in Paris, by our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji and the then French President François Hollande. And I went on to performing this album worldwide, including twice now at the United Nations headquarters in New York and in Geneva, and of course in more than 35 countries all over the world. So here I'm going to play a song for you because I'm a musician, so I'm going to play you some music. So it's called Shine Your Light. It's a song about kindness, it's about empathy. It's just about shining our light to everyone around us. Now this video shows clips of our performances of this song in 7 countries and in 13 cities, so you'll get an idea of what our performances look like. Also, we are going to be showcasing through the song the performance at the United Nations headquarters in Geneva. Here is Shine Your Light.
Namaste everyone!
Whoa-ho! 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 Shine your light.
Somewhere along our journey of being humans, we have forgotten that we are not the only species on this planet. We are just one among millions and millions of species on this planet.
Whoa-ho! 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 We are all in this together. We are all in this together. And nothing can remind us like a simple act of kindness. Hey! And in the blackest of night, just one flash of light shows we're not alone. No, not today. It is time. Let's do this. It's our time. Let's do this. It is time to shine your light. Let's do this. It is time to shine your light.
We only protect things that we love. So we should all make it our mission to make everyone fall in love with the natural world. And hopefully through that love, we will clean, protect and conserve.
It is time to shine your light. मैं जो साथ निभाऊं, तू जो साथ निभाए, तो बात बन जाए, तो ये रात ढल जाए. चलो हाथ बढ़ाएं, चलो सबको दिखाएं, कोई भी यहाँ अकेला ना है. It is time, let's do this, it's our time. Let's do this, it is time to shine your light. Let's do this, it is time to shine your light. Come on!
Suffering that we inflict on the environment and nature is pain and suffering that will eventually be inflicted on us as a species, and we need to start thinking as a species.
It is time, let's do this, it's our time. Let's do this, it is time to shine a light.
inherit this world from our ancestors, but we borrow it from our children.
Shine your light.
Thank you and good night.
Thank you so much. Hope you like that song and hope I'm making sense with my talk. Now, coming back to the Paris Climate Change Conference, the COP21, while watching the conference, one world leader who absolutely caught my attention was President Anote Tong, the president of the Pacific Island nation of Kiribati. Now, he went up on stage and gave a very short presentation, and that's why he caught my attention. He appealed to all the 195 countries present to make an agreement to pass a resolution that will ensure that his people of Kiribati stay above the water. Now, that was a very powerful statement and it quite shook me. Now, I'm ashamed to say that I had not even heard of this country, Kiribati, and no one I knew had even heard of this country, let alone her disastrous fate. So I studied about Kiribati. So Kiribati is an island nation in the South Pacific, 21 inhabited islands, very low-lying atoll islands, and the entire country will be uninhabitable in the next 30 years, and in the next 80 years, the tallest point in any of the islands will be completely submerged underwater, and they are going to be the first country in the world to completely disappear and completely submerge due to climate change. So, in effect, we're going to have to redo our globes and our maps we make, and the part where Kiribati is in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, we're just going to have to paint that blue. So I visited Kiribati. I spent 2 weeks, I think between 2 to 3 weeks over there engaging with their wonderful citizens. I fell in love with their culture and the beauty of this island. Now, this is a country that lives within nature. They do not take more than they can give back. No industrialization, no major development, and yet they are the ones going underwater for no fault of their own, and climate change is not at all of their making just because they are low-lying islands. Now, at the end of the day, it's just one Earth and one atmosphere. If all of our countries could build domes around ourselves and keep our carbon emissions within our own borders, then countries like Kiribati have nothing to worry about. But then our carbon emissions spreads around the world and it becomes their carbon emissions. And as you know, polar ice caps melt, ocean levels rise, and since they are the lowest lying islands, they are suffering the consequences of our actions. Now, again, being a musician, I made a song there. And with their people and with their president. And those of you who have ever been to a concert of mine or even a talk of mine, you've already heard all about this island and, and about her fate because of how passionate I am about telling their story and about performing this song at every single concert of mine all over the world. So for those of you who've already listened to the song, here it is again. Here is my song, Samsara.
The science is very clear about climate change. Within the century, our entire nation will be underwater. As in some countries, you have a cyclone, a hurricane. Over time, the land remains there, the water recedes. In our case, it does not. It's a disaster that doesn't go away. Our reality is that we have communities who already have to relocate, left their villages. We have communities which are on the verge of doing the same thing. For us, climate change is not something that's likely to happen in the future. It is happening, we are facing it.
Grown from the earth, children of the sun. Though we may have forgotten, her song is still sung. no need to steal what she freely gives, and no need to fear when she only knows love.
I feel the pain of a mother forsaken by her children forgotten. How long till we see
She is numberless, and we are none but her, and we will always be one heart, one heart. I've always referred our situation as those countries on the front line, because when we fall, there'll be another front line, and that front line will keep moving back until those countries and those people who believe they will not be affected will eventually be affected, and that is the reality we are facing. I think as human beings, we are being challenged. Should we do something about it? And I believe, yes, everybody has the responsibility to do it.
Now, all those Kiribati children that you saw in the video, if you only think about it, they will not have the opportunity to grow up in their own country. Their country will be gone, and very soon they're going to be refugees of a new kind, and that is climate refugees. Now, Kiribati, we may or may not be able to do anything about their fate and their future, but they can be used as such a powerful example to showcase to us that climate change is real, climate change is human-induced, climate change has currently got victims, and our actions sitting down over here are having disastrous consequences on people on the other side of the world. It brings in a different perspective when we actually see their faces. Now, in today's world of climate change, of species extinction, deforestation, pollution, environmental degradation, of course, so many society issues like poverty, hunger, inequality, gender violence, racism, it is said that the biggest threat to our environment, the biggest threat to our existence as the human species, is the constant thought that we have that somebody else will make a difference. We're always waiting for other people to make a difference. We're waiting for governments to make a difference, NGOs, corporations, leaders, universities to make a difference. When the truth is that to fix all of our problems, we just need to look within ourselves. Now, we are the agents of change. Everyone speaks about changing the world, but nobody talks about changing themselves. And that's not because all of us are evil people. It's simply because we have just not empowered ourselves to believe that we can truly make a difference if we only make small incremental changes within our own lives, like reducing our consumption of plastics, our dependence on fossil fuels, use public transportation, consume less of everything basically, and be kind to one another, show empathy. I believe that is all that is needed, because the need of the hour is behavioral change and becoming a more environmentally conscious society. Now, as Mahatma Gandhi said, that we need to be the change that we want to see. Now, we can make 1,000 speeches and showcase a ton of scientific data to people. But what is needed is for artists to interpret that data and speeches through the emotional language of music and touch the hearts and souls of people. And I believe music can be that amazing catalyst to drive people from just mere awareness of problems, because everybody is aware of all the problems, maybe not the exact statistics or the exact extent, but everybody is aware of all the problems, to actually taking concrete action to actually solving these problems. So music can be that catalyst to move people from awareness to action. And that's what we musicians need to do. We need to work towards creating art to make everyone believe that they themselves can bring about change by just incremental changes within their own lives. So I'd like to conclude this talk by quoting Baba Diom, the great Senegalese conservationist. Now, he said that at the end of the day, we as humans, we only protect things that we love. That's how we are, We only protect things that we love and things around us. We only love things that we understand, and we only understand things that we are taught. So I want to make it my mission to make everyone fall in love with our natural world, and hopefully through that love, we will find it within ourselves to protect, to conserve, and to sustain. Now, India is a country, and I absolutely love our country. And India is much more than just humans, and we need to constantly remind ourselves that we are just one among millions and millions of species in this country or on this planet. So I created an instrumental version of our national anthem, and for the video, we decided to showcase the true inhabitants of India. Now, who are the true inhabitants of India? Who are the true citizens of India? The forests and the wildlife, because the forests and wildlife have existed on our land long before any humans have ever set foot here. And I'm sure you all agree with me. Now, the forests and wildlife define the beauty of our country, they define our sustainability, and are responsible for our very survival. So let us all use our patriotism, our spirituality, our love for the country to conserve our forests and wildlife. And if you would please indulge me, let us all rise for the Indian national anthem. Let us all rise for the true citizens of India. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great rest of the day.